Alright, so welcome back again. My name is Jesse. In this wonderful and exciting tutorial, I'm trying to see how to do unit test for login, right? Or how to test your login system. So a log is a log file, simply a computer generated data that contains information about usage, patterns, events that is operating within an operating system, an application or a server, right? So anytime you build an application, you make sure that you are keeping track of all the events that are occurring, right? Which is very useful for error tracking and debugging and for observability. So if I go back to my system and I go back to my var/log, if I go here, you can see that all the various softwares and systems within my application is having logs. So we have one for Apache, we have some for Postgres, we have some for supervisor, we have 6 log kernel logs. So every good software usually keeps logs, right? Which is very important. Now in this tutorial, I'm not going to be working on how to write logs. We will be trying to see how to test this particular logging system of your application. So we'll be using Python in our case, right? So let's see how to write a basic log, and then you see how to test the log. So most of the time, a log mostly consists of, in Python, it consists of a logger, right? Which is like the person that is going to make the measurements and then write the logs, right? Write the event that is happening. And then when he's writing it, he has a layout, right? So the layout is what is termed as the handler and then the formatter, right? And the filter. So he has a layout. So the layout is this format, right? So you want to make sure that there is time inside, there is the level, then there's message. Then there is also a log level, which is a filter which is used to check the priority or the severity of the log. And then there's also a handler, right, which is going to be the destination. So this is the basic idea behind logging. So maybe in another tutorial we'll go deeper into it. So in this tutorial we're trying to see how to test this particular logging system. So we're trying to see if we are testing if the right logger is being used, right? So this is the logger and then it's picking a name. So we want to know if it's picking this particular name. That is one use case. We also want to know the level that is being used for a particular logger. We can also test this particular pattern. We can also test the format, if it contains time, if it contains a particular message. And you can also test the output, right, the destination or the handler. So these are all the various aspects of a login system or of your login that you can test. So let's see how to do that in Python. So I'll go back again to my workspace, and then I'm going to create a folder. So called log tutorial. I'm going to create a file. I'm going to call it as my, let's say, calc.py, right? So this is a simple stuff, and I'm going to also create another file. So touch, so to my test calc.py. Now let's open it with VS Code, and then when you open it, we are going to come back here, right? So there's nothing. So I'm going to create a simple function. So let's call that my calculator. So calculate, and this is going to pick two numbers, A and B, and then it's going to add them, right? So this is what it's going to do. It's going to pick the numbers. So let's call it as, let's say, the result of the number is going to be A plus B, right? We're creating a simple function, and then we are going to log them, right? Then after it has done this, we are going to create some logs for this particular simple function you have created, right? So I'm going to be using the log function. So import login, which comes by default. I'm going to set my logger. So logger is going to be my login.get logger, then underscore name. So it's going to pick the name of that particular file, right? So the root logger, right? Perfect. So this is all we are doing. Perfect. That is all, right? So we have created a logger, and now we'll be using this particular logger to do our logging. So we're going to say, okay, logger.info. We are going to say that, okay, the level we are using is info. Then I want to say that, okay, this is so something addition function, or let's say addition function code, right? Perfect. That is going to be the first thing. Then we're also going to give, let's say, a debug, which is going to be, or we can just go with the first one, right? And then that is all. We can just pass in our value. So let's do this particular format. You just modify it, but just to give you an idea. And then let's go back here. So dot format. Now pass in my result, right? So this is a simple function you have created, and anytime you call the function, it's going to call this particular one, so I can just return res, right? Perfect. Something very simple, right? So let's run this function and see if it works. So I can just do it like this. So let's call just say my result. Then I can just say calculate. I can pass in 4 and then 5, right? This is a simple function I've created. So in case I want to run it, I can just run it straight away by running it here. So perfect. So it gave us no result. It worked, but let's print out the result. And let's see. Consider now it gives us the number 9, right? But we want to know if this particular log information and that function was actually called, right? So how do you do that? So if I go back again to my terminal, right, the same place, and if I run the same thing, so if I go back here, if I do python calc py, we only saw the 9, but I want to know if this was actually called, right? So how do you do that, right? So to do that, we will be creating a function to test this particular login. So I come back here and I'm using unittest, so we can just go with import or from unittest import test case. You can also use pytest if you want. And then I'm going to create my class. So let's go to test simple log, right? And this is going to inherit from the test case as always. And now I'm just going to create my option. So there are several tools or libraries we can use to test your login. So the first one is the assertLogs. So this is going to be the first one. So let's go back here and let me write it here. So these are some of the tools you can use. Tools for testing login. Right, so the main one is there is the assertLog from pytest. It's from pytest from unittest, right? And there's also test fixtures package. You can also in a way use caplog from pytest, right? But it's a little bit different. The approach is totally different, right? So we just go with the first one. So that is the simplest. So let's work on it. So I'll go back again to where I'm working, and I'm going to say, okay, with my self dot. So let's create the function first. So let's create a simple one. So let's go to, we want to test, as I said, there are several things we can test on it based on the image that we had. We can test if a logger is called, right, or the particular name of the logger, right? So we can do that. So I want to test if this particular logger that was used is having this particular name, right? So in that case, we can just go back again because it's a test. So logger used, right? So this is going to be the name. Then I'm going to go with myself. It's going to inherit from self. Then I'm just going to write it this way. So with assertLogs, right? As, let's say, capture. As captured. So what it does is that anything I'm going to run here, right? Anything here. So any function I'm going to run here. So any function will be stored inside this particular captured log. So the logs from this my function, this particular log, right, will be captured and stored here, right, by assertLogs. And now I can run my test on it, the normal test I would have done. So let's see. So I'm going to go back again and import. So from my calc, import addition, which was, no, not addition, but calculate. That's what we have. Then I want to test this particular one here, so I can just go with my calculate. The calculate goes with 4 and 5, which is going to give us 9. So it's not going to take this very simple explanation. Whatever log that is here, this particular log information, right, is what is going to be captured and stored here. And now I can, when it's captured, it's going to capture it as a log record. Then I can check the message, check the level, check every aspect of it, just as we have seen in this image, right? Every log message has all of these configurations. You want to check all of them. So that is the basic idea. I hope you get what I'm saying. Okay, so I'll go back again and I'm going to say, okay, self dot assert I want to check and see the log used. So assert equal, and I can just pass in my captured, right? And this captured goes record, as you can see, there is records. Then these records have some value. So I want to check the name of the record. So the name is going to be the logger, right? Perfect. Then I'm going to say, okay, is the logger called root? So let's see if it is called root. Right, that is the first one. So let's see this. So this is a simple function. So what it's going to do is it's going to capture the logs. So the logs from this, right, function call will be stored in captured, right, and then be stored in this particular variable captured, and then we can test it here, right? So we are testing it if it is the same as root, right? So let's check it again. So we can run this one here from the terminal. So let's run it here. You can just go with pytest. You can use unittest, but let's go with pytest. Yeah, I prefer pytest -v. If I go back, you can see that it failed. So calc is not equal to root. Why? Because we placed here __ name. So __ name, that is going to pick the name of the file, which is calc, right? So that explains why inside here it failed, because it's no root, it is called calc, right? So we can see that with this simple approach, we can test if a logger is used, right? So test logger that is being used, a specific logger being used. If I change the name from here and I call it, like, let's say, let's give it a name. So let's call it as, okay, my root, right? If I come back here and I change it onto my root, it's now going to pass, right? Because I've changed the name of the logger, which is my root, and now I'm testing to see if that particular logger is what is being used, right? So if I go back here and then I come back and I run it, then now it passed, right? Perfect. So you can see that that's actually passed perfectly well. That is one of the ways of testing your logging system if it's working. So we can use from unittest self.assertLogs, then that particular log information which is coming from here, this log information, this one here, is what is going to be captured and stored inside this captured value, and then I can run my unit test on it. Perfect, right? That is one of the ways. Now let's write another one. So def test. So as I said in the image, we can test if it is using the right logger, right? We can also test if it's using the right level. So let's test for the level. So test log level used. So self, and then we can say with self.assertLogs, right, as captured. And I can just go the same thing. So I want to calculate the same thing. So let's say 4 and 5, which give us 9. And then what I want to do is I want to self.assert equals. I want to see if it is using the right level, right? So we can call it as equal. Then I can go the same thing I did. So captured.record 0. That is the first one. Then dot. You can just go with the level. Right, so you see that we have the level name here. And now I can just go back again and specify that the level is called what? Info. So this, we did not specify any level. Right, there was no level specified here. But here we are saying it is called info. Right, we are using info for it. But we want to check the level of the actual logger. So let's check it. So test log level of logger used, right? Now let's get out of here and let's run it again. So I want to run pytest -v, and now all of them passed, right? Because it's actually using info, right? Perfect. If I change the login here from this to, let's say I use, say, debug, and I go back and then I run again, it's like it failed, right? So now because this is using info here, but here is using debug, right? So you can use assertLogs to also test the particular log level being used. You want to know if that particular log level is being called. So number one, we have seen how to test if the right logger is being used by using the name. You're also checking if the right level is used, right? We can also check for the format. We want to see if it contains a particular message. So we can go back again to this place and then add another one. It's def, then test log message, right? So we want to know if it's getting the right log message. So we are testing if it gets is correct, right? We want to test if the log message is correct. Then with self.assertLogs, let me bring this one down. As captured. Then I want to also do the same thing we did, calculate. So let's make it 6 and then 10. We want to know if an addition was made, right? So self.assert in, right? This is the same like in pytest to be assert contains, so it is assert in. Then I want to see if this particular message added is found in my captured.records 0, right? So 0 means that it's going to pick the first one. If I go with this option, it's going to fail. So let's check it out. If I come back here to my terminal, I go with pytest -v dot. See that 3 of them failed. 3 failed. So why did it fail? Because we changed this one to debug, right, instead of info. So let's go back again and then let's run it again. And now 2 failed, 2 passed, but 1 failed because added is not found in the log record. So this is the log record, right? So that explains why in all that you have been doing, we just bring that 0. It's like a list. So you are taking this entire stuff out. So that's why you are doing this, right? Just to take it out. In case you don't want to do this, right? So 1 passed, no, 2 passed, 1 failed. It's not iterable. So in case you don't want to do this, you can also do this get message. So get message, you want to get only the message from it. And now if I go back, so added is not found in addition, right? But if I make it like addition, save it, and then I come back and I run it, so all of them passed, right? So you have seen how to also test if a log message is correct, right? So we just use the assert in the captured records get message, right? You can also change this one in case you want to do this. You can also do this option. So this is another third method, which is let's go to 2. Instead of this option, you can also go with output. Right, you can also do output and then run it. So it failed because output is also like that, and then just output is also like the records, which is similar to the records, but it's not like the record. It's just going to be a list. And now if I go back, it's going to check this entire stuff, and then it passes, right? So either you use this option here, records, but you have to call the function on, or output, which is going to only pick this one. Where is it? Oh, let's make it fail again so that you see what I'm talking about. So the output is this that thing that is always inside that particular bracket, right? That is the output. So we want to just get this one out, and now we can run it straight away, and it passed. So that is how to write unit test to check your login, right? So we are using it to check if we are using the right logger to do the login, to do the recording, if we are using the right level of the login, right? Or if you are using the particular format, or the message we have contains something. You can also do the same thing for the stream file, right? Or the timestamp, or the level. You can even check for the level also. Let's do that, right? And also check for the level name, if the level name is like what we have, as we saw here, right? So the level name. Then we also check for the message, right? You can also check if it is giving the right length, right? So let's go back and check it out. So def.test length of log message, and take the length of the log message or the log record, right? How do you check this yourself? Then do the same thing. So let me copy this here. Let's bring this one down, right? And instead of this one, we can just go back with this. So we can just go is equal, then we can just get the length of the captured.records, which is going to be the first output. We want to get it, and then we can also equate it to, let's say, 1, right? Is it equal to 1? And now let's run it again, and it's filled, right? So log has no length because we are supposed to get it like this. Let's get message, and it's still failing, right? So you can see that it's saying that the length is 26, but we specified it as 1, right? Or we can also make it different. We can also get it like this, use the output, which is the preferred method, and this is going to give us the right length. If I run it, all of them, oh, I thought it's going to pass, but it's still failing, right? Very interesting. So yeah, we can, so the simplest way, all that you are doing is still failing, right? So you can, in case you're expecting a specific amount of length of the message, you can do that. But what I want to do is that I actually want to do the output like this way. This will pass without getting the value out, or we can also make it pass perfectly well. So this is how to test the length of that log message. So that is some of the nice ways you can write tests to check your login. Now, all that I've been doing, let me show you some very nice trick you can also do. There's another package called test fixtures, right, which you can also use. And then there's also a nice feature in PyCharm and VS Code called Test Explorer, which is here. If I come back here, come to my extensions, we can search for Test Explorer. So Test Explorer, and you can install this particular package, right? I've already installed this particular package. Or can also have Test Runner in case you want, but let's go with Test Explorer, which is very useful for Python and stuff. And I want to use this particular package. So this package has already been installed here. I've already installed it. So let's use it in our stuff. So I'll go back here and let's check it out. Perfect. So let's see that cool stuff. So if I go back here to my Explorer, and because I've installed it, you're going to see that we already have it here, right? We have this particular extension here, right? So we have Test Explorer extension here. You can see it from here. You can also say configure Python test. Then as you can see, there is no VS Code settings extension, but if I click on configure, I'll choose the testing framework. So let's use pytest, and I'll specify the directory, which is root test. Perfect. So it has already created that VS Code file with the settings. So we have my python.testing.pytest argument dot, then this unit test enabled, pytest also enabled, right? Perfect. So in case I want to test it, I can just click on this one here. So as you can see, notice from the here we have the previous one. If I run this one here, I see that now it's running the test and that's giving us the result. So 5 by 5 passed. You can see the particular test that was run, and you see that in all the tests that passed, you can see the mark here. So let me bring this same thing you are seeing here. You can see the same thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So you can see that if I click on it, it's going to only run that particular test. If I click on this one, it's going to run only that particular test, right? Perfect. You can also, let's make an error so that you see what I mean if it fails. If I go back here, let's change this one from this to like how we did previously. Let's put 0 here. Oh, where is my curly bracket? Yep. If I go back with this, let's test it out. This is going to fail. If I click on this, so that 4 out of 5 passed. So the one that's passed, you can see it here. All of them passed, but the one that failed is here, right? So if I click on this, you can see the one that's failed, which is this one. So test failed, and the moment I hover over it, it's going to give us the result, right? Very, very nice. It's going to give us information and some very cool stuff out of the box, right? So it's going to tell you the specific place it failed. You can also see the result, right, as it was supposed to be. Very cool. So that is one nice feature. That is a bonus feature. So thank you for watching. See you in the next session. Stay blessed. Bye. So to recap, the basic idea behind all that we have done today was, like, in case you wanted to write a test to check for your login system, you first go with this option. So whatever function you want to call is going to be called, and if there's a login message, it's going to pick that login message, which is this login message here, or the logger or the log record, to be stored inside this variable called as captured, and then I can run my normal test on those particular ones. So I can check if the right logger is being used. I can check if the level is the same level as expected. I can check if it contains a specific message. I can also check for several patterns. So thank you for watching. See you another time. Stay blessed.